If you're looking for a trail that allows you to get up close to nature and the wildlife of Florida, then this is the trail for you. Hello and welcome to another episode of Ed Cycles. I'm your host Ed. Today I'm on the shore of Lake Apopka where I'm going to ride the Lake Apopka Loop Trail. The trailhead to begin today's ride is located approximately 12 miles northwest of the city of Orlando on the east shore of Lake Apopka. From State Road 429, take exit 29 Ocoee Apopka Road to the south. Take your first right onto Binion Road and go 6/10 of a mile to the park. From Binion Road, turn to the left and then go right to get to the trailhead area. The trailhead is located on the lake side of Binion Road and offers the usual amenities such as plenty of free parking. It also has the Eco Center here, and I'll talk more about that a little bit later. But if you go all the way down to the end of the parking lot, that is where the trail begins right here. Lake Apopka is designated as the United Nations Environment Program Restoration Road Trip Destination. There's a QR code here if you'd like to scan it to find out more. Also at this trailhead are covered picnic shelters and this large inclusive playground, and that means that it's accessible for children in wheelchairs to use some of the equipment. I thought it had a lot of unusual different types of playground equipment, and also the ground was covered in a spongy type material. I assume that's for in case of falls. This long boardwalk goes out onto the lake and gives you a very scenic view from out there. Another covered picnic shelter with many picnic tables and this large grill. And all with a great view of the lake. The permanent restroom building also has water fountains, including 4 water bottles. The Ecology Education building is located at this trailhead, and just to the side of it are the facilities for bicycles, including a bicycle stand, air pump, bicycle repair station with tools, and another water fountain, including 4 water bottles. The Eco Education Center was opened in 2022. The Friends of Lake Apopka is an advocacy group for Lake Apopka and helped to develop this education center. It shows the lake's history, including the decline of the lake and the ongoing restoration efforts. Interactive displays enhance the educational aspects. Here's a quick overview of most of the displays. I thought it served as a good reminder of the history of the area and an introduction to the inhabitants of the north shore of Lake Apopka. Each display included an audio narration accompanying that display to further enhance the educational aspects of what was being presented. Directly south of the trailhead is the Magnolia Park boat launch area. From what I understand, this is one of the few places where you can launch a kayak or canoe directly into Lake Apopka. The boat ramp and fishing pier are open 24 hours a day. This picnic table area is located adjacent to the boat ramp. On the east side of Binion Road is Magnolia Park, including the campground and other facilities. Magnolia Park is an Orange County park. Its 56 acres features an oak tree hammock. The park also features ample parking, an information kiosk, many picnic shelters, permanent restrooms, a basketball court and a sand volleyball court, and a campground. Both tent and RV camping are available with electricity, water, picnic table, and grill at each campsite. Reservations are made through an Orange County online system. Here's a typical campsite that shows the water spouts, the electric hookups, the picnic table, and the grill available at each campsite. The Lake Apopka Loop Trail is about 17 miles one way. I'm starting the mileage counter at the trailhead located on the east side of the park across from Magnolia Park on Binion Road. The Lake Apopka Loop Trail goes along the north shore of Lake Apopka for 17.4 miles one way, or an out and back distance total of 34.8 miles. It's a great day for a bike ride. Not even out of sight of the parking lot yet, and I come across this historical marker for Lovell's Landing. In 1872, William Lovell purchased 225 acres of land on the northwest side of Lake Apopka. Here he established a hub for freight service utilizing the lake and connected waterways for transport of fruits and vegetables grown in the surrounding area. Eventually, roads and roadway vehicles offered a faster way of transportation and took the place of transport via water. The first half mile of this trail is asphalt, and after that, the fun begins. I believe all that noise is coming from the bike, not from me. I do have a lot of things attached to my bike for making these videos, so it does tend to be noisy in rough areas. I did find that riding on certain sides, like here on the left side, is a little smoother. When I move over to the right here, it's much rougher. So there's certain little things you can find about riding this trail that may help. It also helps to release some of the air out of your tires to make it a little more cushionier. And of course, if you have wide tires, even better. I think I'll just turn down that background noise. The first half mile of today's route is on smooth asphalt. The rest of it is not. The first segment here is 4 miles long total and goes out to the pump house. I think that most people would say that this first section of the route is the most scenic, and yes, there's many opportunities for viewing wildlife. I do like that every half mile along this route, there is a mile marker letting you know exactly the mileage from the start. Morning. This informative kiosk is just before mile 2. Wildlife viewing is encouraged, but be mindful that these are wild animals and you are on their turf. This North Shore area has more than 370 different bird species that have been observed here. This refuge is considered within the top 3 birding destinations within the state. It is very common to see bird species such as osprey, anhinga, herons, egrets, hawks, and eagles, among many others. And of course, don't forget all of the other wildlife that calls this area home, species such as otters, raccoons, bears, bobcats, and coyotes. You are practically guaranteed to see many alligators. Lake Apopka is the 4th largest lake in Florida. Before the lake was altered, it encompassed about 50,000 acres, which is about 78 square miles. Today, what we call the North Shore is over 20,000 acres that were once part of the lake. A levee was constructed in 1941 and the North Shore was drained with pumps. Lake Apopka was then reduced to about 30,000 acres or 48 square miles. The drained area was then used extensively for farming, requiring the use of fertilizer and pesticides. This led to massive pollution of the lake and algae blooms. The algae blooms cut off sunlight from reaching submerged plants, which was a food source for bass. The bass numbers declined and the health of the entire lake declined. In the late 1990s, the farms were bought out and additional lands purchased to begin the lake restoration. This pump house, located at mile 4, was constructed in the 1940s to house diesel-powered pumps to pump water out of the North Shore in order to drain the area to make land for farming. Unfortunately, as the land dried out, called oxidation, it released phosphorus and residual pesticides. It also caused the land to sink about a foot per decade as it dried out. Since the start of these restoration efforts, the diesel pumps have been replaced with electric-powered pumps. These electric-powered pumps now reverse the flow of water. They help to recirculate the water and pump the right amount of water onto the North Shore to prevent further oxidation and phosphorus from entering the lake. The levee on which this trail is located holds the water in the lake, which is now at a higher level than the land on the North Shore, which has subsided about 5 feet since the 1940s. This next section of the route goes from mile 4 at the pump house to mile 10.3, the Duda kiosk. Be aware that as you leave the pump house, the first 1.2 miles of the trail is shared with vehicles on the Wildlife Drive. The 11-mile-long Lake Apopka Wildlife Drive is suitable for those who wish to visit while staying in a vehicle, with opportunities to step out at designated pull-out areas. The speed limit on the Wildlife Drive is 10 miles per hour, with a vehicle length limit of 25 feet. Be aware that vehicles are allowed on the Wildlife Drive only on Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, and federal holidays from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And this is where the vehicles must exit and we get the trail all to ourselves again. The Lake Apopka Loop Trail was opened in 2014 from Magnolia Park to the Clay Island Trailhead, which we'll get to later. It was extended to the Green Mountain Trailhead in 2016. It's amazing the abundance of wildlife that is thriving in this habitat. I don't know if I made this bird nervous or it just picked up more than it could swallow, but it ultimately let this fish go. This area is managed by the St. Johns River Water Management District. The district's main function has been the cleanup of lake water and the restoration of the natural filtering action of these wetlands. Over the last several decades, the work of the St. Johns River Water Management District has caused the decline of phosphorus in the lake by 69%, and the water clarity has improved by 93%. The clearer water has in turn allowed sunlight to reach the lake bottom. This has allowed the return of aquatic vegetation on the lake bottom, something that has been missing for at least 50 years. The mission and vision statement of the St. Johns River Water Management District is to protect Florida's natural resources and to support Florida's growth by ensuring the sustainable use of Florida's water for the benefit of the people of the district and of the state. Toward this end, they have 4 core missions. The first is water quality. This includes aquatic protection and aquatic restoration efforts. The second core mission is water supply. This means they study detailed hydrologic data to determine minimum and maximum water levels and the correct water flow for rivers and lakes. In this way, they foster water conservation while ensuring adequate water availability for the changing population of the state. The third core mission is flood protection. This is achieved through the management of levees, canals, weirs, pump stations, and water locks, and the purchase of land for use as floodwater storage. The fourth core mission is the stewardship of natural systems. This includes activities such as restoration of altered natural drainage, management of invasive species, and use of prescribed fire burns. Altogether, the St. Johns Water Management District has ownership of over 750,000 acres of land across 18 counties within Florida. These containers hold aluminum sulfate. The aluminum sulfate is added to the lake water to help improve the water quality. It does this by binding to the sediment and the dirt and the phosphorus and helps to remove all of them from the water. Despite improvements in the water quality through the years, the fish in the lake is not yet safe for human consumption. From the Duda kiosk, the North Shore Trailhead is 1 mile away going north and then west I did not visit there, but from what I understand, there's parking, an information kiosk, restrooms, and a boat launch area. Continuing on the Lake Apopka Loop Trail, this next segment is 4 miles long. The Lake Apopka Loop Trail is presently over 17 miles long and follows the north shore of the water. There are plans to extend and complete the loop around the lake, but nothing in the budget at this time. In addition to this bike trail, there are additional trails for hiking and horseback riding. These trails are also available for bike riding, but are much less used and much more off the beaten path. Now on the west side of the canal, I'm entering this area that is referred to as the Lake Apopka Marsh Flowway. This is a lake water recirculation flow area that has been established, which allows the lake water to be circulated and filtered by the wetland area. A very short detour here will get me to the flowway pump station. This 760-acre recirculating area filters about 30% of the lake water each and every year. The lake water naturally flows to the north and enters this area to the south and west of here. This area is being managed specifically to filter the lake water. Common plants in this shallow area, which is 1 to 2 feet deep, include pickerel weed, arrowhead, and cattail. The water moves slowly through this area, allowing sediments including algae and phosphorus to settle to the bottom. After the lake water flows through this largely marshy area, this station pumps the water through pipes back into the lake. This system removes about 2.2 metric tons of phosphorus per year and has dramatically increased the lake water quality. The improvements of water quality have allowed for increased stocking of bass in the lake. The bass in turn help to improve the water quality. The flowway tower is readily accessible from the trail and gives you an elevated view of the surrounding area. The name Apopka comes from the Native American Seminole word meaning potato-eating place. Apopka is sometimes called the indoor foliage capital due to the numerous greenhouses and plant nurseries located in and near the city. Notable people associated with Apopka include Scott Stapp, member of the music group Creed, who grew up in Apopka. Sawyer Brown is a country music band founded in Apopka. Jonathan Kane of the music group Journey resides in Apopka, as does Pat Travers. The Clay Island Trailhead is about 1/10 of a mile away, just to the north and west of this point. It has parking and an information kiosk. Continuing on the trail, it's another 3 miles to the end at the Green Mountain Overlook. Lake Apopka is the headwater for the Harris chain of lakes. Water from Lake Apopka flows into Lake Beauclair and Lake Dora, and then into Lake Eustis and Lake Griffin, and then into the Ocklawaha River, and finally into the St. Johns River, and then the Atlantic Ocean. So improvements to water quality in Lake Apopka has also improved water quality in these other bodies of water. This in turn improves wildlife habitats and nature-based recreation opportunities for humans. On the Lake Apopka Loop Trail, domestic animals such as dogs and cats are allowed so long as they are leashed at all times. Horses are allowed, but loading and unloading is only allowed at the North Shore and the Clay Island trailheads. Regarding camping, primitive tent camping only is allowed at designated locations. There is an online reservation system for reserving camping spots. As I was pointing out at the beginning of this video, this trail is not smooth asphalt like some bike trails. My camera goes a long ways towards stabilizing the picture. The surface at the top of these levees was built many years ago. Time and weather has made the surface very rough. Wide tires and a mountain bike would help a lot. My tires are road tires. I did lower the air pressure, which made a noticeable difference, but going so many miles on this trail really beat me up. That and being in direct sunlight the entire way really made me feel the effects. There's no shade except for the west end right here going up to the Green Mountain Trailhead. So if you plan to cycle this trail, bring plenty of water. The trail winds its way up the hillside. When you get to smooth pavement, turn to the right to get up to the trailhead facilities. This trailhead is accessible for vehicles from County Road 455. It has the usual amenities such as plenty of free parking, an information kiosk, permanent restroom, water fountain including for water bottles, a bike rack, a covered picnic shelter, and an observation tower. After all that time out in the sun and on the rough trail, it was time for me to spend a little time in the shade and refresh with an avocado that I brought with me and rehydrate with some water. Well, this trailhead at Green Mountain marks the end of the west end of the Lake Apopka Loop Trail for now. Don't know if it will ever truly become a loop, but it's been a fun ride. Time to head back. First, the unfinished business of having a look at the observation tower. Going back the way I came up from the hillside and to the left instead of going to the right is where I get to the walkway that leads straight on out to the observation tower, since it extends out over the hillside that drops off below. The local fire department seemed to have some exercise going on here today involving ropes and a zip line, I guess. But it didn't stop me from going out to the end of the observation tower for the beautiful panoramic view of the surrounding area. I will now make my way back along the 17.4 mile Lake Apopka Loop Trail back to my starting point today at the Magnolia Park Trailhead. I'm back at the trailhead at Magnolia Park. Just wanted to remind you that GPX files for all of my rides are available on ridewithgps.com. Do a search on routes and then search for the name of the ride. For today's ride, it would be Ed Cycles Lake Apopka Loop Trail. There's a link for it also on the video description for this video on YouTube. Get out and enjoy our trails. It's a great day for a bike ride, but I am beat. This one beat me up.